Hey, beautiful loves, welcome back to this channel. If this is your first time hearing this beautiful voice, my name is Janelle. I do movie reviews and recommendations on this channel. All my returning subscribers, thank you so much. Okay, we're talking about Seven Doors today, and you guys can feel the excitement from my voice whenever I'm doing movie reviews. I'm excited. This movie has 6 episodes and was produced by Femi Adebayo, an amazing movie director. This is his debut. Seven Doors opens up with 7 women jumping off a cliff and falling down unalived. Now, I was wondering, okay, there are 7. The title of this movie is Seven Doors. What's going on? But these women were not physically falling. They were falling down, right? But it was from the spiritual realm, right? And then it happens to them. They die like physically wherever they were. And it was a shock to me. I'm like, okay, I would really want to know where this is going. Now, this was being controlled by a deity called Esusu when he was in the land of the living. The movie Seven Doors talks about an Oni of Ilara town who was in town with his family, living their best life. Living their best lives, enjoying themselves. But because of the politics of the chiefs in the village, a lot of things happening in Ilara town. Chiefs were reselling lands to people lands that they had sold before. In fact, they demolished somebody's house, a house that this man's son built for him. And then news even got to Adedejoye that all of these things were happening in Ilara town, but he wasn't really, it wasn't that he wasn't concerned. He wasn't really interested per se, because he knew that his ancestors were people who were part of those people on the throne, but he wasn't interested. But then it got to his turn and they called on him and he had to tell his wife. His wife was like, oh, there's no competition, let's give it a try. Whilst all of this was happening, Chiamaka was trying to talk to her husband to take the throne. Someone was already eyeing the throne and had consulted elders on how he was going to be king, right? He even paid and all that. And then the day comes where this supposed king, arrives in Ilara town with his family, his son, his daughter, and his multilingual wife, right? So he was being crowned the king of Ilara town. Before then, he had to do a lot of traditional things where he didn't have to sleep on his right, he had to sleep by his left. They also told him, whatever he sees in that room, he shouldn't tell anyone, and all of those traditions. And the day he was crowned king, his wife sang, she was happy that they should thank God for her. Her husband does not have other maidens, has wives, and all that. She was so happy. In fact, her Igbo people came also to celebrate with her. They were being looked at as people who came to steal from them because they were not even living in the town. But after the coronation, the man who paid elders to be king had to call them, summon them, and beat the hell out of them, and promised to keep beating them up like that because they betrayed him. Okay, this King Adedejoye, was able to build back the house that these chiefs demolished, right? And then just like that, in the dream, he saw a deity with a lot of rubbish, carrying a lot of rubbish, running into the palace, and he had to stop this deity and said, you have to go, you cannot come into the palace and all that. And then he was talking to someone and saw a spirit walk into the palace, went straight to his daughter's room with a lot of breeze, took his daughter down, and this girl died. The king is not supposed to see a dead body. It was really, 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 really emotional. Now, some of these chiefs were saying, oh, it's good for him, what's happening to him is very good, all of that, not knowing that it was going to, something like that was going to affect the whole community and happen to them too. His wives, this chief's wife, warned him that don't let anybody outside even hear what you just said. So one day, a truck carrying logs of wood was, passing through the village, and some police officers were trying to catch up with them, and this log, because of the speed, the log broke loose and hit a lot of people in the community, the market, everywhere. It was a bloody day in that community, and the people of that village, it even affected that elder that was saying, oh, it's good, what happened to the king is good, right? The whole community were very angry. In fact, they were sad, and then they came to meet him and asked him, the last ritual you're supposed to do, the 7 doors, have you knocked on it? Now, the 7 doors implies that they're going to, this king is supposed to get married to 7 wives, 6 more wives to the one he has already. It was really emotional for Chiamaka, because how can not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 more wives? This king had to beg his wife. In fact, he was even thinking and walking naked in the palace. The day he took those wives in, he had to beg his wife. And not only did he take them in, he took them in and then they started misbehaving, and he had to return all of them because they were maltreating his wife. He had to return all of them, and this whole killing and all of those things happening in the community came back, was happening, and then he had to bring them back and also consummate the marriage. Now, after he did the consummation, he felt like the whole thing was going to stop, but it didn't. He sat down, he saw that spirit come into the room again and went for his son. His son almost died. His son was exchanged with a log of wood. It was a lot of sacrifice, and then he was being told a story of what happened in his ancestral line. 2 people from a particular family were chosen that any of them could be good for the position, but the younger one knew that the eldest would be taken in place of him, and he had to unalive his elder brother. And then he was 45 when this thing happened, and the sacrifice for him to remain on the throne for longer than 50 years was to take his 7 wives. And he obliged Esusu, who was a deity living inside the bush, who was banished. He brought that guy back to the community and made this guy to take his 7 wives. It wasn't Esusu's fault. Esusu was embarrassed twice. He was banished, brought back into the community, and then this king banished him again, lied to his community members that Esusu was the one that took his wives. And that was what made Esusu very angry. Now, remember when I said a deity brought rubbish into the palace? Now, that was Esusu, because he was being disgraced. A lot of things were thrown at him. All the disgrace of the community, all the wretchedness of the community were being thrown at him. Then, I had already known that this man had to wrestle with Esusu physically. And then this man that was advising him told him, you have to wrestle with Isusu physically. And they were all gathered at the village spot where Isusu was being banished at, and then he had to go in there to fight, to wrestle with Isusu. And it was almost at the point where Isusu was going to beat him, and then he called on the first king of the kingdom, and that king came, handed a gun over to him, and he shot at Isusu, and that was how he won the battle. This movie, forget about what people are saying online. The cinematography is good, makeup is good, acting amazing. I'm going to rate this movie a 9/10. A lot of people do not know the work that people put into making movies. You guys, go on Netflix and see this movie. It is a 9/10. If you're looking for movies to watch this Christmas, this is number 1. Okay? And I hope to see you on my next review. Bye for now.